Hey, welcome to my 5-part series on rejection and abandonment wounds. You know what I didn't do? I didn't introduce myself. My name is Kalinda, and I am your girl that's going to help you get past a lot of your patterns that's keeping you stuck in situations so that you can actually heal, or at least when you are triggered, you will know what to do. And you won't be going around just being mad at people and saying that something is wrong with you and you're crazy and all those kind of things. Because that's what we do, right? Not anymore. On this page, we're going to talk about neuroscience, we're going to talk about psychology, and we're going to talk about epigenetics and how all of that affects you and how you handle things in life. But we're going to start at the root of a lot of things. And so today, and we'll get into all of that later on. And I am one that has suffered from a lot of different types of wounds in my past and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. But I've also been a life coach. I was a life coach for about maybe 3 years, kind of a spiritual life coach, but I help people navigate their traumas and things of that nature. So I know what I'm talking about. I also had a mentorship. So once again, I know what I'm talking about, but I stopped. Anyway, I'm back now. So we're going to get into talking about the rejection and abandonment room. And yes, I have my notebook because I'm one of those persons that like to have their notes in front of them to make sure that you're getting everything that you need. So, rejection. That is what when people walk away, when people put you down, when you're feeling like you're not good enough, when you're feeling like you're not unworthy. A lot of times our rejection starts where? In childhood. Now, it doesn't always start in childhood. Some people can get rejected in adulthood and it affects them to the point where it's now imprinted into their nervous system, into their body. So we can blame childhood for the most part, like I would say 99.9%, but then there is, in my opinion, at 1% where it can happen, later on in life, because we act like we can't get traumas as adults, but we can, and we do. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm not going to go and tell you my first time being abandoned, well, not abandoned, but feeling rejected. I'm not even gonna go into that story, okay? Even though I do have one. Well, I'll tell you about the second one, okay? I remember this so clearly. I was in elementary school and this boy was sitting across from me, right? And I was sitting next to my homegirl, and she was sitting across from the boy that was sitting across from me. Another guy was sitting there, right? And he was like, "This is my favorite seat." And he was sitting across from her. And the other boy was like, "Well, this is my favorite seat." And the boy next to him looked at him and was like, "You sure that's your favorite seat?" And then he looked at me and got up and sat in a seat with nobody in front of it. That happened in elementary school. I never forgot it. But that was one of my first imprints of rejection into who I am as the person that I am today. So, getting back to being rejected. Okay, when we are rejected, it is now imprinted in your body. So your nervous system is going to find ways to keep you from feeling rejected, from feeling that anxiety, from feeling that sadness, from feeling that depression, right? So most of the times when it comes to being rejected, what do? We chase, we do drive-bys. And when I say drive-bys, I'm talking about we will go drive past somebody's house, drive past jobs, whatever it is, we will do those things. We will text all the time until we get a response. And the reason why we're so hyper fixated or so aggressive is because our nervous system needs that emotional anchor, and that emotional anchor is that person, is that thing, is that place. So, for example, like if I'm in a relationship and I'm dealing with somebody, right? And this person now all of a sudden starts ignoring me, and I'm just like, what is going on, what's going on? And this is like all in my head, like what is going on? My body is like, you need that person, you need to reach out, you need to reach out, because I need to feel better, you need to feel better, you need to feel safe. But truly, you don't need to reach out to that person, you don't need to call that person, you do need to feel safe. And that person is like an emotional anchor which calms you. You ever notice that we go through cycles, like you'll do no contact and then you'll be like, oh, I need to talk to this person, and then you call them, you got to start it all over again. Your nervous system is like your safety net. It only wants to keep you safe. So that's why sometimes we are in cycles that keep us stuck. We are doing the same thing over and over again, not because we are weak, not because we are crazy, not because we can't, we didn't make the decision to leave or make the decision to change. It is because we are wired internally through our nervous system to feel safe, and being around that person, calling that person, going to that place, taking that drink, or whatever it is, taking that smoke, whatever it is makes you feel safe. And until you give your nervous system another pattern to follow, you're going to repeat the same thing. So sometimes we'll look at it as, well, you didn't get the lesson. That's why you're going through the same thing over and over again. And sometimes that is the case, but sometimes that's not the case. The case is you need to see how you are wired. So you have to go back to childhood. You have to go back to that moment if you have not blocked it out. Because sometimes we block things out, and you have to see what your body does when it's feeling rejected. That's one of the things that I do want you all to do, for, like, I'm not gonna say homework, but just to kind of understand who you are. What does your body do? And a nervous system goes through something called fight, flight, freeze, or fawning. I'm a fawner. Well, the thing is, I don't fight. I don't do the fight thing. The flight, yeah, I'll take off. Okay. The freeze, yes, I will freeze. The funning, that I think is me more so than anything. And a lot of people don't talk about the funning, but that's basically going into the people pleasing. And the reason why I say that is because I people please a lot to not be rejected. And I got played so much in my life, it's just ridiculous. And I also became a fixer. What is a fixer? A fixer is a person that has to fix every problem so that everything can be good and everything can be great, even if that person did not cause the problem, so that that person won't feel rejected. Sometimes it don't even have anything to do with the other person. you know um I would fix things because my body was like, I need to be around that person. I need their presence. And when I began to realize that about myself, I was like, I did this with this person. I did this with that person. I did this with that person. So I realized it was not the person, it was me. And I had to do some research on why I was the way that I was. Let me tell y'all something. I'm big on patterns, 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 patterns. We are what do they say? We're creatures of habit, which we are. Patterns. And when I realized how my nervous system was working, when I realized I was not the issue, I was not the problem, it was my nervous system and how it was wired to keep me safe. And I give props to my nervous system for keeping me safe, even though it kept me in some loops. But the fact that I'm aware, and the fact that I've changed things helps so much. And you're going to have to change things as well. You're going to have to create other patterns and find other emotional anchors when you get triggered. Okay, so that you don't call the person, so that you don't go to whatever place that is that you may want to go, or go smoke, whatever it is that you do when you feel rejected or when you feel abandoned. Those are the things that you're going to have to do. And it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie, it's not. Because remember, your body is used to a certain pattern. Even though your mind is like, this is what we're doing, your body is like, okay, but I don't know logic. Your body does not know logic. Your body does not know decisions. Your body knows patterns. So you're gonna have to repetitiously and interrupt the old pattern and create a new one until your body is used to being safe in another way. And that's the other thing, you have to create that safety within, because a lot of times we have external safety. Think about it, when you're young, you have external safety, going to your mama, going to your daddy, going to this, going to that, going to the church, you know what I'm saying, going wherever it is that you're going, instead of going inside yourself. And you can't fault yourself for that, because you are a child. You don't know, especially when these things happen in childhood. And most of the time, I'll say 100% of the time, well, we'll say 99.99999% of the time, we're not taught about how we process. We're not taught about how we think. We're not taught how to go within or how to look at ourselves. Most of the time, you're taught, oh, just pray about it. Oh, just go heal. Well, the first thing when you become an adult, in order to do this, or if you are a young adult and you're in your healing stage, you need to understand how your mind processes things. That's why you can have a family with 3 children go through the same experience, same 2 parents, and experience it different, have 3 different takes because of how they process things. And I think that's so important and so imperative when it comes to healing work. Like for me, affirmations don't work. Words don't mean nothing. Action means everything because that's how I process things. And I believe it's that way because of the things that I experienced. Like I didn't experience like verbal abuse and all of that. So words really don't bother me. And I didn't experience physical abuse, but I experienced, hands-on things in my life. So you have to see how your mind and your brain process things. And then once you do that, you'll begin to understand your patterns. You'll begin to take yourselves out of the loops that you are in. Like, sometimes when they say, why did she stay? Why did she keep going back? Or why did he stay? Why did he keep going back? Because of the internal imprinted patterns that we have within our bodies. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're not crazy. You just have a nervous system that is built to protect you. And that is through safety. That is through predictability. That is through familiarity. So that's why many times we loop. Now, that's not all the reasons why we loop through things, because you are learning lessons in life. Your soul is learning lessons in life. But a lot of times it is how your nervous system is. And sometimes from a psychological standpoint, it is us emulating what we've seen other people do. And from an epigenetic standpoint, it is your gene expression. So it can be a gene of someone in your family, excuse me, of someone in your family, because remember, we have all of our genes that comes from our family. That's why people tell me, I don't need to know my history. I don't care about my ancestry. Well, you should. Because it's probably why you are the way that you are. Most people just be like, I'm like my mom, I'm like my daddy. No. You're like your great grandpappy that you don't know. Or your great, great, great grandmammy that you don't know. Okay? That's why it's so imperative to understand that. But getting back to epigenetics, you could have a gene within you that is being expressed. And that's why you have anxiety. That's why you react the way you react when everybody else does not. It is so important that you understand these things. Now, I'm not saying go and research and doing all of that. Okay, you can find someone that you can work with that does those things that can get you, on the right track of realizing who you really truly are via your patterns, or how you truly work via your patterns. Somebody like myself, because I am big on that. I'm very analytical. Things like that have always caught my attention. And I've always worked in that way. Like when I work with people, I will talk to you. I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm listening to things that you're saying, no judgment, no none of that, because my mind is calculating the things that you're saying. My mind is, putting crossing the T's, putting the I's, the dots on the I's, and like, this, and this. That's how my mind is working when you're talking to me. I'm hearing you because that's my nurturing side. I hear the pain. I hear all of that. But then my calculating side is like, that's why he's like that. That's why she's like that. So sometimes you have to meet someone that's going to get you to that place to where you're understanding yourself. And once you understand yourself, nobody has power over you. And people can call you everything in the world and it won't matter, because you will know why. And if you cannot change it, you will know how to deal with it, because there are going to be some things that you're not going to be able to fully heal, but you'll be able to navigate through, and with confidence, once you understand who you are, how you are. And that's on the biological standpoint and on the spiritual standpoint, because remember, spirit beings. Okay. You have to keep all of those things in mind when you are understanding your patterns, understanding who you are, the neurological side, the biology side, the psychological side, and epigenetics, and is so important, because that's how I look at myself. I'm like, oh, okay, I probably got this from such and such, or it's like, you know, hmm, how can I not be this way? Because when it comes to epigenetics, you can, let me see, how can I say it? You can stop a gene from being expressed. Okay, so it's not like, oh, well, I'm just all up in rage and there's nothing I can do. It's things that you can do to assist with that. But that is what I wanted to talk about in today's episode of healing from rejection issues and abandonment issues. And in part two, we're going to go into the different types of characteristics or expressions of that wound. Your overachievers, those that are overgivers. Sometimes some people think they're overachiever and it's because they just want to be the best. No, you want to be accepted. Mm-hmm. And the other, hold on, because it's another one that I wanted to, the hyper independent person, and the I think I said this already, but the person that is aggressively generous. you know oh, I just love to help people. I will do. Sometimes that's not who your heart is, that is who your protection is. So in part two, y'all come back and we're going to talk about that.